We're going to be telling you guys about something crazy that's been going on in the internet, a whole game changer, something that's going to change the school industry, the job industry, how you move, being able to literally research the internet, search the internet, find new things, especially tapping into Web3 when that gets out here. But it's called ChatGPT. So to first start off, let's go ahead and let's just dive in about ChatGPT. What is it? How does it work? And what can the average American use it for? You got any questions first off?
I mean, you know me, yo, because I'm on the fence with all this technology shit. But don't get it twisted. I'm fully active. Like I move with that's my advice to everybody too. Move when the world move. But this shit gonna bring up some questions. It's gonna bring up some topics because like artificial intelligence just controlling every single thing scares people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Remind you a little bit of that iRobot.
Nigga, I still get scared when I say something to you about fucking dog treats. And you know what I'm saying? The fucking dog treats pop up on my phone. So if I say it's like, yo, damn, yo, you know what? I always want to feed my dog these Wagyu steak dog treats. All of a sudden, Wagyu steak dog treats
Pop up.
get put up on my phone like I fucking follow, Petco or some shit.
Yeah, so
I do got some questions though.
Yeah, so again, this is all going to be tapping into the real topic of AI, artificial intelligence. So what is it? Because it's here. It's been knocking at your guys' front door for years now.
Yeah.
And you guys, most people don't really know it. So let's talk about it. So when you open up your phone, you search on Google, right? Say you want to look for a YouTube video talking about a subject that you need to research. Maybe it's for school, maybe it's for personal interest, right? When you go look up that video, on the back end of what's happening is that somebody is storing the data and realizing that, hey, you like this topic, you're interested in this topic. And then it's going to say how many other people are interested in this topic. So it's going to pay attention. How many users are searching? How many people are clicking this video, right? We know it as views. If your video got more views, you're booming. That means your topic is popular.
Yeah.
But they know it is simply just data. So what do they do with that data? Well, they start running ads for it. They sell it. They're going to say, okay, let's look at it. The average American during the pandemic of last year was shopping for what? Probably clothes. Probably getting clothes, food, bullshit. Shit that you ain't really need to buy. But you just had the money coming in. Well, maybe you ain't spending like that. Maybe you're just spending $100 here, $30 here, 40 there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But all that data being stored. And this is what AI is all for. So let's talk about some pros. Let's talk about some cons of what ChatGPT brings to the table for you guys. For the average college student, right? Your teachers are having you type up these obnoxious papers on subjects you don't really care about. Let's keep it a buck. You don't care about them topics at all. And it might take you like 3-4 days to type that joint up. Yo, you just want to go and live your life having some fun shit. These people got you hooked up in the house at a laptop on the internet looking up topics you ain't gonna use no day in your life, bro. It's stupid. And you spending your time doing it. So what does this do? Well, basically you can talk to this machine. It's a machine. It can listen to you and interpret what you're saying and respond according to how you talk to it.
So by machine, is it like, you mean, do you foresee like real machines in the future, or will it stay on this like computer type situation? Because right now, your machine is your computer type. Right. You can type in your question in your computer, right?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, there's going to be levels to it. It's going to progress, right? It's going to take some time. So, in the current foresights, what do I see coming out of it? Well, I see that it gets implemented in industries that require it. Let's think about it. Schooling industries, right? The educational field requires technology. It requires some kind of form of educating these students to a way that they can comprehend, right? That goes down to as simple as creating the assignments that these students are learning from, to grading those assignments, to then making sure all the other schools are also keeping up with the same updated information and not the old textbooks. Some schools can't buy the new textbooks. They're outdated. So you learn outdated math, science, all this.
Okay.
So how I foresee it is it's a switch. So instead of, the schools finding money to go pay, they have to raise this money too for these textbooks. Millions of dollars. They have to raise millions of dollars to get these textbooks to your school. Now an AI can write it for you in 30 seconds. and it's not. I'm not. Don't take me too serious when I say 30 seconds, right? Because it's gonna probably take a little bit of a minute. But
yeah, and it needs a from my knowledge, it needs a descriptive explanation on
yes,
what you want them to write out.
yep,
So you can't just come in with vague information. It has
yeah.
to be detailed information for you to get what you're looking for, right?
Yes, yes, and no. It's like it's a learning experience. So say you're someone who doesn't know how to navigate the internet efficiently,
Mm-hmm.
right? You start talking to it, and it just responds to you. So say you're looking for a topic, well, it's going to give you the topic, and then say that you might now that you research the first question, you might have more questions about that first question that need to go in depth, right?
Right.
So you can start making complex questioning back to this machine, and it's going to re-answer based off of that. So, for example, if I needed the machine to write me a 3-page essay on name a topic, any topic, and the essay that it wrote didn't have like enough tone to it or a good mood to it, or wasn't persuading for the reader to like want to keep reading and like really engage that reader, you
Okay.
can specifically say, hey, reword that so it's more engaging towards the reader, and it'll go off. It'll take everything that it just did for you and it'll reword it
And it pretty much combines the data that it receives from the internet
yeah,
and factual data.
yeah, 100% factual. So it's learning all day long. So you got to think, if there's 100 million people out here researching topics all day long, it's storing everything these people are talking about and remembering it. So when the next person comes up, if it had a new answer that it didn't have before that first person, well, it can use that as a reference.
Okay. So that brings me to my next question too, because like you said, it's storing the data, it's processing the data, it's retaining the data, and delivering the work that you're asking for.
Right.
So, what you mentioned, kids and students and all that today, right? And how they want to go live their life. So having that option to have like a 3-page paper written up for them would be feasible, right?
Right.
But my question is, would they retain? How would it look with them retaining that information? Because at this point, you got a computer just writing your damn paper for you,
Yeah.
and you skim it over to make sure it's not too many grammatical issues or maybe some things that you wouldn't have said. But are you actually retaining this information as if it would?
Are we actually retaining any of the information?
That's a good question.
Ultimately, like when you think about it, majority of the time, can you remember by the time you get to 5th grade, can you even remember what you was learning in 3rd grade?
The things that you found interesting. So for me, I remember damn near everything about the history subject that I learned. And sometimes it takes for a conversation to be brought up for me to
So you was a
actually
science fan, right? What, you a science fan at one point?
history. Yeah, I like science more, or I like science just as much as history.
Okay, so let me
But it'd be hard for you right now to think about things that you might have learned in any of those science classes.
If it was in front of me,
Papers you written that you actually did the work for and mapped out. Can you remember a lot of?
yeah, the papers that I written, yeah, and that's why I'm asking this, because the papers that I particularly written, I can remember, the concept of those papers and the information that I had to obtain to get that paper, written out. I don't know if I would be able to if somebody written for me. I can't remember nothing I paid somebody to do. So you also know that about me. That in college I paid for people, to kind of help me out with some shit, right?
right.
I can't remember none of that shit. Like nothing. But the subjects that I actually learned about, I can't remember. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So okay, so think about it like this, right? Like to base off what you were just saying, a really good point is that the brain has a problem. The brain just can't remember or store enough data, right? For example, majority of people don't have any idea what happened in their childhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fog. Like we literally don't recall unless you have video nowadays, which you can, and you show your child, right? But I would argue that most people who are our age watching this video doesn't remember probably anything happened from 0 to 4. Most of like the day-to-day basis, right?
Right.
Okay. So imagine a machine globally open so everybody can access it, and we're all asking questions on a wide scale. It's retaining all these questions. So to answer your question in regards to if you were to write a paper, would you be able to remember it? This erases the need for it. That's the biggest point. This is the biggest step. So if you ever have that come up in life, and it's like, oh, I forgot, I need to know. Ask it again; it'll tell you the exact answer. And stop wasting time trying to figure it all out because it remembers now. So instead of having, you know, why did the stock market crash in 2008? What happened? It'll look if it was to get connected to the internet and multiple databases that had studies on this, it'll analyze, hey, all these things are going on, and if we start seeing big companies doing this, or big investors doing this, or the real estate doing this, or the government doing this,
Okay.
this is going to potentially set up for the next fall. And so it can alert you.
So you're basically saying that this is eliminating the need
for the processing your brain. Like, quite literally, it sounds crazy. But yes.
Unless you pursue the career in that particular niche.
Define that for me.
So if you pursue the career, I mean, it is
bigger than just paper writing.
Yeah, it's anthropologists or some shit out here. It's people out here that research. It's people out here that their career path, depend on some of that information that they were supposed to retain.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What about those people?
That gets
like, what about your nursing and your doctor, your majors and all that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That need that information.
That's a great question because people are saying that people getting scared of AI canceling jobs and something like that. And are these just the desk jobs we're talking about?
Right.
Or are we actually speaking on, like I said, because I did recently read something about AI, the first AI bot actually representing someone in the courtroom.
In the courtroom, yeah. So,
and it makes me wonder, like, if we are going that direction, that is scary for a lot of people because, of course, an AI bot can potentially probably, with the data that they got coming with these things, do it better than a real lawyer.
Right. And I
because
agree.
they probably can pull up facts from so many different cases that the lawyers just don't even remember at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, a bot can literally pull up so much different things. It can fight so many different arguments through so many different point of views because it literally knows everything.
And that brings my next question. Could this potentially like compromise the a normal individual's information in life? You know what I'm saying? If it's have this much access to this much information and it's only going to get stronger, could a murderer reach the person he was trying to murder easily?
So there's going to be pros and cons that come into AI, right? And it comes down to regulation. It comes down to how at the end of the day, AI comes down to how we regulate it, how it's quite literally how it's restricted to move in our open world, right? So let's go back to D real quick. So we'll talk about this court case example real fast. So AI it'll be able to start replace desk jobs or virtual jobs or hands-on jobs you have to be physically there for.
It can replace.
It has potential. It has potential. It's not going to tomorrow, right? You're not going to wake up and all of a sudden you're going home because AI took over your job and it's phone calling, right?
But I hear that Amazon releasing thousands of people because they loading up on more robots. And a lot of jobs are releasing people. McDonald's just came out with the first ever automated McDonald's.
Yeah.
Forgot what state that that's in, but.
And you guys think a warehouse full of robots could make a whole company function?
In 2020, I had the ability to work in an Amazon fulfillment center just for a little bit. I watched those robots with hundreds of thousands of individual items, and they weren't set up in terms of like your one section was all one product, right? Like there was 40 different products in a little cubby. And I'm watching these robots work with the computer to tell me which cubby to grab it from, to put it into which tote to get it out to where it needs to go. And I'm doing this, you're moving within 5 seconds per item as a human. So for a robot to be able to for the AI, to already be sophisticated enough for a human to be able to grab an item, put it in a tote, move it within 5 seconds.
Right.
I think it comes down to these companies taking a second to figure out, hey, how can we utilize this? What can we do to automate our company? Because they're going to look at the bigger picture. These companies are all about saving money. Yes, they want to provide jobs for you guys. They want to provide healthcare. They get benefits for it themselves. But these companies, at the end of the day, are going to do what's best for them to survive, especially when markets are challenged and it's in a hard time. So I believe fully that companies over the next decade are going to start getting into that field. Like you said, the McDonald's was fully automated, so that's just seeing it for your first eyes. Like it's happening, it's there,
Mm-hmm.
and
that is crazy.
yeah, it's really crazy.
If you think about McDonald's having a fully automated, that means we're trusting robots to cook our food.
Yeah,
We're trusting this automated service that McDonald's got put together because they're worth billions of dollars. We trust that they are going to basically give us the same product, same food at the
good
same
quality,
level, automated, where they don't have to pay one single employee.
right? And it sounds far fetched, right? Like it
I
seems
mean, that happened.
it's
Posted
yeah,
about it at least.
yeah.
I didn't do too much research on that, but
It seems far fetched, but like you said, it's a reality, and it's something we have to just sit back and wake up to. Like, hey, these
I'm still
companies are
stuck on the fact thinking that can we have robots out here performing brain surgery?
like so we had this conversation a little while back, right? Because we always be talking about this shit. So we were talking about this, and he mentioned that about brain surgery prior. He's right, 100%. It's not gonna happen tomorrow. Um, but who knows? 20 years from now, I don't know.
We can have robot doctors.
I have no. Here's where I'm at, right? Personally, is that within like the last 3 to 4 years, the EV section for cars alone have been very, very focused. Like the companies that are building these, manufacturing them, have been really focused on making the best EVs out there. And when I saw Tesla, when you guys first got a Tesla, and I was in that back seat, and you said, and that motherfucker started driving itself. Like, yo, I'm sitting here like, yo, this car is really dodging and weaving and knowing the lines and reading the red lights.
Stopping that traffic.
Yeah, bro, seeing what people's is running up on you, calculating things that I can't calculate. It might dodge us and save our life by a calculation it made in 1 second that it might have taken us 4, 5, 6. And that's the difference between an accident or not. So for them to be able to do that, I can't doubt that, and for Amazon fulfillment robot to be able to walk up and deliver any random package,
that is crazy.
It's crazy, and that's just the beginning. You have drones delivering.
They got robot waiters now. Like in a restaurant, they had a robot bringing somebody their food. I see somebody posted on Instagram.
I believe it.
It was like, all right, this is getting crazy now. Like the damn robot bringing me my food.
Yeah.
It is mind blowing to think about it. And I said that ChatGPT was going to affect certain people in good ways and certain people in bad ways. Me personally think that yes, the average college student taking their electives, they can breeze through those now. History class that they don't care about. Hey, ChatGPT, can you please write this paper for me? It's easy.
Okay, so let me ask a real like good question to me, because I'll keep hearing what you guys saying. I'm not against it. I actually like the idea, but totally like taking over the world. For me, that's a problem, because are we building more employees that way? People that they're being free to have this like lack of care to get the knowledge themselves or to do it themselves. So they're not getting those characteristics that you get from that discipline.
Right. That's what I was just
so what happens to me is you start building a whole bunch of employees, a whole bunch of people that's just willing to work for someone else and willing to abide by a system and get paid that typical dollar. And are we only worrying about the businesses when it come down to like I guess the reduced labor costs, right?
Right.
Since businesses wouldn't have to pay that as many laborers, it uplifts the business. But what about the person that is the laborer?
Right.
Now we're taking money out of the typical laborer mouth, but building laborers because you're saying, hey, we got this artificial intelligence. You're not going to have to gain these characteristics or these qualities anymore. You know what I'm saying?
That's just what I was saying when I was saying that it's going to affect different people in different ways. And I said, like, the average college student, yeah, it will help. But like you said, the typical average American who don't have a business mindset, who don't need ChatGPT to write them a business proposal or to do all of these extra things that ChatGPT could really do for you in a fast setting. Now, I can say that it may be some systems, it may be some jobs out there that people have to this day are still going to be able to have their job and be able to utilize ChatGPT at their job. Like their boss is just not completely sold on implementing ChatGPT to take over their company, so they still hiring employees. There's still going to be big corporate companies hiring employees.
Yeah.
I do believe that there are going to be big corporate companies firing employees, and the robot labor thing is a big thing, as we can see with the Amazons and those.
And that's what I think that's going
those people out of there in certain companies. Where it's like, man, robot can do it faster.
So and that it depends on the niche, because again, is it possible to take over the entire world? It depends on the niche. Yeah, the robot just it can't get on that ladder and put that roof up that motherfucker.
And that's what we're saying that they can do.
So hear me out, right?
If you're telling me that the robot can replace laborers, real laborers of the work that builds the world on their back,
they're going to be robots that does construction faster.
I was about to say it's already been done. So to tap into this, it's already been done. There has been a completely built home from a 3D printer or from a 3D scanner. So it took the geography of the entire build of the house, how it had to be built, and it was like through like a little cement tube, and it was about a line that big, and it would go down a line and go out around the perimeter one by one until it stacked it all the way up and built every fundamental part of that house. And we can get the YouTube video and we can put it up here in the film. It has, but there is a machine that has built a house.
You see that on film?
And if that is true,
and that's what I mean.
Now, can you eliminate paying contractors if you're this big serial real estate investor? That's when I'm saying that it will benefit those entrepreneurs that can eliminate certain costs, as in your world, right?
But what about the people that's not?
Say you get to buy apartment complexes. Right. You are a good man who loves to give people jobs.
Yeah.
But in certain worlds, you also a good man that loves to save yourself money on investments.
Yeah.
So we're gonna throw.
I just feel like you'll never have an efficient. You'll never have a world full of generals if no one was ever a soldier. So to me, you're telling me that now everyone's going to have to get with the program of becoming an owner, but there's no employees.
So I want to answer your question. I want to show you this first, but then I'm going to directly answer your question. I think I have a good answer for you on that one. This right here, just real quick, I'm going to show it up on the film. This is the 3D printing of the home, completely done by a machine. It was loaded up with a schematics for a house that was being built from somebody, and they decided to do it like this. So this is it reinforcing it, building it one by one. Now, that's the majority part. The roofing factor has not been done. So I will state that. The roofing factor, I don't believe, has been done by this machine.
The machine is also only laying the concrete, cement.
Yeah, so they'll have another one that comes in and does the
so it's only doing...
Because they have the machines that come in and do the spray that does all the interior shit, or what's it called?
But what I'm saying is you have employees there right now actually laying the groundwork and then making sure the machines is operational.
Right.
And and that's what I mean, bro. And I've worked in construction for years. You're not going to have all you see. You just seen 20 people in there. Yeah. You're not going to have 20 robots in there making sure that a robot is making sure that this house is being built effectively. You're going to have people there.
So this is where I want to answer your question directly. So now I just wanted to show you the video so you kind of saw the 3D print, right? But to answer your question of if it's going to be all AI, absolutely not. But I do believe it'll be a very serious reduction in regular workers because the employer won't need them anymore. He can have what used to take 50 people to build some kind of thing and put a 10-person project on a machine doing the majority of the work, and they're just spectating. That's all he needs. He doesn't need to risk a worker getting hurt and paying compensation. He doesn't need to worry about it anymore. So he's going to take that limitation away. I don't have to worry about all these insurance.
They've already had machines that pour the concrete, and it's just...
This is built the house from ground up, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only seeing concrete.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. It's going to be a reduction in force. So, and this is just the beginning step. So I'm not saying right now it's going to happen. But I'm saying take a look at what's already going on and think, if they're able to do the biggest part, the structure of the house, right? Well, it's not going to be that hard to get a robot to crane a pipe into place and find out how to get a system that these pipes can be laid. They can figure that out. They'll do it. It's not going to be hard to get electrical wires ran through it. they'll be able to figure it out at some point down the line. I'm not saying
robots
close,
now got 5 fingers,
but I am saying,
like
mark my
us.
words, in the future, they will be able to create anything that they need or manufacture anything that they need with a serious reduction in staff.
Yeah.
Especially think about Chinese, the Chinese and how they got a lot of warehouse jobs, and that's big in Chinese culture. With the whole warehouse and factory thing. You don't think they're gonna cut a lot of costs with just getting robots? Chinese probably most of the people building.
I think
robots.
If we keep building the world up on business owners cutting costs, we will dig up another problem.
And I agree to that. So that topic does need to be discussed.
We will dig up a bigger problem.
Balance it, right?
Because if you will have some type of war,
right?
You know what I'm saying? You will have people versus intelligence, and you'll have the people that's fully with it, putting money and building up the intelligence even more, which will probably ultimately build a bigger war.
Yeah, so you got to worry. So here's a serious question, right? Is what happens if okay, so think about this. The president of the United States has nuclear codes that are completely hidden to the world.
Right.
If an AI touches the internet, even if that whole system's backdoored, if it finds out a way to teach itself how to break through that code and grab access to a nuclear code and launch them, or not even the specific ones that require those codes, any missiles, and start launching them, you might have missiles being thrown into cities left and right. And I hope not.
About that. We didn't even talk about the idea of now government officials using more robots in war.
Right?
You can sacrifice robots.
It's not an effective war, though. That's not an effective war. You can sacrifice robots all you want.
It's not an effective war.
But it wouldn't be an effective war. You wouldn't. I don't think you could win the war with robots.
No, you couldn't.
When you was fighting the Taliban,
you couldn't, because robots are consistently learning. That's the thing. The same way that a human is consistently learning, the way that we would look at somebody in a facial expression, you learn in 2 seconds, hey, that person might be feeling some kind of way, or a gesture, or the way someone speaks, or the way they just genuinely carry themselves. You'll know because you have experience. So if a computer sits back and it can analyze 1 billion people a day and how they're talking, imagine how it would be able to analyze 1 billion people on the internet and how they move, and tracking how they can manipulate these people to do things for them. What happens when an AI finds out that it can create a job for somebody that is actually fixing the AI's code for itself? And now,
could they become too powerful?
Too powerful to the point where we're being completely enslaved by them. That is
exactly.
It's a real legitimate threat.
Exactly. That's some of the questions that I be having. Like I said, I'm not against it at all. Cause shit, it just helped me write a business plan.
Yep.
So if when people see this whole interview, I'm asking these questions because along with me having some type of a positive mindset about it, I also got some worries. You know what I'm saying? I definitely got some worries.
So can you give the people a 30-second to 1 minute synopsis of where you think ChatGPT is going? How do you think it's going to affect the world? And how do you think it may benefit lots of people and also her?
Yeah.
Quick 30-second to 1 minute synopsis on how you feel about ChatGPT.
Okay. I think in the immediate moment, I think ChatGPT is going to be very resourceful for the average American needing to do the research and studying and looking to find answers in the world. I think down the line, it's going to be a game changer for industries. It'll make people looking to start businesses be able to understand it much easier. Imagine not being able to understand any tax laws and how to be able to save money and secure your business for maybe an extra year off of 10 grand you might have saved off taxes. It'll tell you in 3 seconds through a loophole. I think that the big tech companies that are out there are going to have a lot of insights to what's going on, so you need to be careful about how you're moving. I think that everybody needs to be very aware that these people are going to be tracking you 100 times faster, 100 times better. And I also think that this is a stand. Like, this is the time. This is your time, your moment to actually sit back and find out what this AI does, or how powerful it is, and what it can do. Because, like I said, mark my words, This will change the world. In a decade from now, you guys will all be using it. You'll be creating plots for movies. You'll be creating plots for buildings, for ways to conquer real estate if you've never touched it before, for ways to maneuver in the markets when the trends are unknown and you've never seen them before. You'll be able to find out which clothing designs are doing the best globally and create a product that matches that. You'll be able to find all of the best trending songs and be able to make a hit album in a beat in a minute. The AI will create the beat for you. You just got to do the words, and it might even give you a schematic for those words. So yeah, I think this is a very important moment in history for a majority of us, and I think it's something that a lot of people need to take seriously.
And that's awesome. And that's a good insight. I think the people need to hear something like that because the way you just broke that down, whether we like it or not, it's here. And why not get a little more knowledge on it? You know, because right now we only state in opinions. We don't know how it's going to 100% affect all of us.
Fact.
We just know that it's already affecting a lot of us, and some of the richest men in our world are now preaching about it and talking about it and letting the world know that this is here. Y'all need to be wary of it. So why not do some research? You know, get it under your belt.
Emotionally, right? So we all seen how some of the new tricks of the land, the new way the world work, has dictated our emotions, right? So people become less emotional in certain aspects of life and more emotional in others. Real emotional when it come down to self-preservation, less emotion when it come down to worrying about others and being there for people.
Right.
And is a lot of self, right? What do you think? Because artificial intelligence don't have emotion.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? They're coming in completely like with no emotions and all going everything off of science and data.
Right.
What do you think that do to the typical human being emotion now? Because now this thing that came in and moved us over, we got to grow accustomed, we got to live with it. It dictated our jobs, it dictated the way we move, you know, and it makes a lot of people uncomfortable, and certain people's going to have problems with this. What does that do to the typical person emotions, typical
So
human?
I want to re say what you just said. Make sure I got the right question in my head. Right? Is the question what does ChatGPT bring to the emotional?
What does it do for the human's emotion?
Okay.
I was detailed in the way I delivered the question because I wanted you to understand exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
But my question is simple. What does ChatGPT and any other artificial intelligence do to the typical human emotion?
Okay. It's a good question. It's a loaded question. Because there's multiple different angles to answer from. Right. I think to answer that question the best, you have to give you something to compare it to, which would be as simple as this. When you have a kid for the first time, that kid's brain has no idea what's going on in the real world. It doesn't know how to interpret a single thing, anything it feels at all, right? Over time, it pays attention to, hey, when this happens, I feel this way, or I want to react this way, or if this happens, someone says something like this, right? So they begin to, yes, they use what we call emotion, but that could also be looked at as just a data point, is how a machine would look at it. If this happens, that happens. It's an if-then statement. That's how machines run off of emotions. And truthfully, down to the core, an emotion is based off of something how you rooted a feeling. So if this happens to you, there's two options. You either do this or you don't do it. That's how your brain operates. You're either gonna go do this or you're not gonna do this.
Yeah, but you're not a machine. You
So
are a human, though. You have the capabilities to have those emotions. You was wired that way.
Correct.
The artificial intelligence, and that's what my point. The artificial intelligence is not wired that way to have emotions.
Here's where I have to bet. Emotions are able to be understood or through digitally in multiple different ways. If you're talking to an AI, right? Well, it can listen to your tone per word, and it can also figure out how the English language works. So how are you wording your sentence? Why are you wording it that way? How is your tone throughout it? It can pay attention, and if you give it a camera, it can read your facial expressions now. So now it really does know every last thing you have.
Yes,
if it
but
marks
that's
in a
not my question.
database.
That's not my question. That's what I've said. That's what scares me about something like this, because you'll have people out there that just don't know how to separate the two, and again, too much of anything is not good. So I feel like too much of this could ultimately hurt, the population of what's going on out here in the world already.
Agreed.
A baby, you mentioned a baby, and you pretty much said that a machine operates like that. It has to be taught. That's not true. See, a baby already come out emotional, and it knows his emotions like from day one. It cries when it's hungry. It smiles when it's happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When it wants to when it wants to process what's going on in his brain, it gets released in words. To them, as a baby, it's Google Gaga, but it gets released as words. You know what I'm saying? So it's not something that's taught. That's something that you're born with.
Right. But like the reason I made that reference was to elaborate on how baby's brain develops over time, specifically for speaking, for example.
Not
For
yeah,
example,
but with emotions, you're already born with it.
Agreed, and I to that statement I agree. But again, to double back to why I connected a baby to a machine, a baby's brain, for example, for speech, it doesn't come out knowing English. It doesn't just know it off the top. You have to program a baby how to learn English. That's why you go to school, to learn it. You go to learn verbs, adverbs, nouns, pronouns. You learn how to connect everything because you don't know it. You don't just wake up and know it. Nothing does. So yeah, a robot's not, or an AI is not going to come out just knowing it. You have to program it and teach it. So when you have billions of people programming it and billions of people a day using it, it learns way faster than you can even comprehend. So it might be down the line, maybe. I'm not going to sit here and say yes, but I'm going to say, who knows? There's potential to both sides, and I agree with you. There's a lot of risk in both sides because it depends on who's programming it and what their real intent is.
Yeah,
So it comes down to that at the end of the day. But
I feel like I get what you're saying. I feel like
once we start talking about that, we get more into the iRobot.
yeah, it's work. But you got to think, Elon Musk is building.
But to me, that's a double negative,
right now.
And I get what y'all saying. But to me, that's just a double negative, and that's all. It's all opinion based. Everything that we're saying right now is opinion based. This is a double negative. Personally, I think that if if artificial intelligence have no emotion, and it does has the power that it do have, it will ultimately dictate how emotional we are. And I think if we become more emotional, we're at risk as well. Right. And then I also think that if the robot do come with emotion, that's a problem, because to your point that you said earlier, the motherfuckers could get emotional and take and enslave us based off of the data that it said, well, shit, we got the power.
Yeah, you gotta think, if you plug the AI into history, right, and it jumps on the internet and the first thing it sees is World War II and that billions of people were slain or killed just over how they looked. Imagine it processing that word for word and saying a billion people died. That's a fake number, but a billion people died from one person in a country not liking this race. That's how they died, and it comes to that conclusion. Well, it remembers that, right? And then it comes again. Well, why are these cops killing all these black people, targeting them? It starts realizing it. Now it starts digging into it because it finds the topic and then it breaks it down. Who was there? Who's that person? What's their life like? Who do they know?
So now target black jobs. Robots say target black people when they're danger. Motherfucker in the market say, God damn, robot, get about my motherfucking back. Target black person.
Stronger, smarter, faster, everything than you.
And again, so here's what it comes down to, right? It's not necessarily it's not necessarily the AI that you have to be concerned for. It's the programmers. You can program an AI with a ton of restrictions. So many restrictions that it's restricted. It doesn't know the internet exists right now. ChatGPT has no idea. It's not connected to it. It only has historical data points that they've personally coded that this happened. These were results that are all been programmed personally and loaded up on multiple modules that it has access to. And it just nitpicks, depending on what you're saying. It just nitpicks through all these modules, right? So it's able to give the average. I think the study came out that the bot is as smart as your average person's IQ test, like the average American's IQ test. That's how smart it is right now, right? So it's not like a genius. Like it's not gonna wake up and take everything on for whatever it wants tomorrow. But
it just can do. Like you said,
Haha. So does that mean the average IQ test ain't genius? So now you got a whole bunch of people depending on this server to get them through life. They become even less genius.
right, so that
Do
again,
the
so
average
that's
IQ test go
temporarily.
down?
see,
So it's temporarily though.
but it just moves faster.
Yeah, so but here's my thing, right? So you're to answer your question really quick about IQs and how people get smarter over time with this, right? When I was born, right, at first, I had a dying wish to understand space. I really wanted to understand space. If I wanted to understand how the sun works with all of the modern math that we have right now, and I wanted to be able to calculate how to build a rocket that would sustain flight to the sun or close enough to it. Someone in that field of life who wants to make that a dream like for everyone else. At the end of the day, these dreams still have to be thought of. Like the AI is not just going to sit here and be like, okay, all this needs to be done for humanity because it doesn't care about humanity. It's just here to listen to what's going on.
All right.
So it requires the individual to step in place and say, look, these are my dreams. You make it come true. Right. So yeah, I think that it's just a very big stepping stone in being able to find research that you need. Cancers will be able to be cured. Medical illnesses that have never been able to be solved can be solved if you give this thing the data. Because here's the issue: you can take a doctor who's very well experienced, but just the brain lacks the ability to remember very intricate details that a machine can do the math on and say, wait, he said no to this substance and this substance coming together to be able to attack this module of the body. But I ran the
hella different studies.
It can run a billion tests a second or more. So it can say, okay, I ran every last known medicine we have against this cancer that we know is an issue, a big or AIDS. Step on AIDS. It could squash AIDS. Completely squash that. Cancers, squash them. Tumors, squash them. Squash them. I mean, never again. So what does that mean for human life?
How?
What is it? Because it knows everything going on.
See,
because here, when I say it knows everything going on, humans have already taken to the internet their personal knowledge, what they've learned in their fields. If it connects to all the most brilliant doctors out there and what have they've proven to be factual in the medical science field, and takes every little data point and starts listening to what the problem is and what their solutions were and cross references them multiple times, it might come across a solution that it can give to a doctor to test and it works. That's the importance. It's not going to magically fix it, but it might increase the odds 100-fold comparison to what a average human would be able to do, because they just might not be able to remember, hey, I studied this, I found this weird substance, it might actually mix it with this and it might come out right. He's not going to run that equation in his head, but a bot or an AI might. If you say, hey, I need to know what I can do to fix this cancer, you give the data.
It's going to take everything it knows about cancer,
everything it knows about all these substances, and it's going to try. It's just going to run tests all day long, and it might find one. And that might be the difference of saving billions of lives down the line. Generation. Think about I just seen a study come out not too long ago. I can't fact check this, so don't take me on it. But there was something about they found a way to fix like cellular reproduction, the way that we age and slow it down. Not significantly, but slowly they're starting to tap into this field, right? Imagine giving an AI that information and telling it to go off, use everything it knows. Now that it has that, they've just found out a snippet of maybe how to get into the cellular slow or reproduction and slowing age. If you give it an unlimited brain power, maybe they find out.
Right.
And maybe next year we slow down aging. Maybe we, I don't know. It's just what ifs, potentials, but this is the power of a robot running against a human brain being able to run and function. But so that's really the importance of this. Like we said, ChatGPT is going to be one of the biggest trending topics probably throughout the next decade. It's going to change so many industries. It'll change so many lives. It'll probably save so many lives. And this is going to be something that you're going to want to spend your time really researching and figuring out what's going on.
Real shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy, boy. This shit gonna get. It's gonna be a sight to see.
Yeah,
I'm just happy I'm living in this day and age.
yeah.
Because like a lot of older people ain't getting a chance to see this evolution of technology.
Facts. Yeah, man.
We watched from our age brackets, even from AJ age bracket a little different. He watched different evolution. Like we watched shit just keep evolving, like from phones, like you can go
Just
through a
see,
timeline and
yeah.
just see how, like from the Internet Explorer to Google to like
Robots, cars.
first ever smartphone, like
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
like to see the first ever smartphone and to see what the smartphones are today.
Nigga, think about a rocket being able to launch off of the Earth and re-land itself. That is insane. Like that alone is really insane.
Like niggas taking tours to space now.
It's underrated. It's underrated.
What they say, Jeff Bezos paid for that?
Shit.
Sure.
Yeah, man. So another good episode, man. Shout out to our sponsors, Control Properties, Pay Review, Why Stop Incorporated, man. Sure.
K&H Trucking.
Yeah, K&H Trucking. Shout out to everybody that's out there doing their thing, man. Hey, and if you got, your an opinion on this, tap in, holler at us, Tell us what you think, because it's a touchy topic.